Chosen one, stop now. God sent me to deliver this divine message to you. And if you don't listen until the end, you may be delaying what is already on its way. Have you been feeling a weight on your shoulders? As if you're fighting against something invisible, trying to change your life but getting nowhere? Know this, it is no longer your duty to fight. The time of scarcity is over, and God is taking care of everything. Those who mocked you, who doubted your journey, will witness your transformation with their own eyes. The wealth and prosperity you have prayed for have already been released. But there is something that needs to be said before you receive them. If you ignore this message now, you may be closing the doors of abundance that are already opening for you. Stay with me until the end, because what I am about to reveal may be the missing key to unlocking your financial life and aligning your soul with the divine flow. Chosen one, have you ever felt that no matter how hard you try, things just don't flow? As if you're trapped in a cycle of endless struggles, always one step behind the change you seek? Maybe you've tried everything, prayers, sacrifices, relentless work, but abundance always seems to slip through your fingers. What if I told you that the problem is not what you're doing, but what you haven't yet realized? Yes, there is something hidden that is preventing your transformation, and until now, no one has told you. But today, God brought me here to reveal this truth to you, and once you understand what's happening, your life will never be the same. Something has already been decreed in the spiritual world, but if you don't act in the right way, you may delay what is rightfully yours. What you have always prayed and asked for is on its way, but there is a secret that separates those who receive God's abundance from those who continue to suffer in silence. The wealth He has prepared for you already exists, but there is one last obstacle that must be removed before it manifests. And what if I told you that, until this moment, you may have been doing the exact opposite of what you should be doing? Don't leave this video now, because in the next few words, you will discover what is missing for the final transformation to take place in your life. Many chosen ones spend their lives trying to prove their worth, tirelessly chasing something that has already been placed in their path. God is telling you to stop now because your wealth is already guaranteed. But what does that mean? It means that excessive effort, constant worry, and the desperate struggle to achieve what is already yours are actually delaying its manifestation. You have been chosen for a greater purpose, and your abundance has already been written in the divine book. What needs to change is not how hard you work or how much you strive, but how much you trust. God does not want you to wear yourself out trying to open doors that He has already unlocked. He wants you to act in alignment, not in desperation. Anxiety and the fear of scarcity are spiritual traps that imprison your mind and block the flow of abundance. When you are overly concerned with when and how things will happen, you are unconsciously telling the universe that you doubt God's promise for your life. Chosen ones do not live in the frequency of desperation, but in the frequency of certainty. When you understand that your wealth is already guaranteed, you stop acting out of fear and start acting out of faith. And this shift in mindset is what opens the pathways for what is already yours to materialize. God wants you to stop running in circles, trying to achieve through human effort what can only be accessed through spiritual trust. The great mistake that many chosen ones make is believing that they must fight with all their strength to secure their blessing. But listen carefully. The real battle is not against the lack of money, not against external challenges, but against your own doubt. God has already decreed that abundance is on your path. The only thing that can prevent this manifestation is your lack of faith and your belief in suffering. Chosen ones who live constantly worried and exhausted are disconnected from the divine essence. Effort must be replaced by alignment. This does not mean crossing your arms and waiting for miracles without action, but rather acting with the certainty that every step you take is guided by divine providence, not by the fear of lack. Imagine you are holding a handful of sand in your hands. If you squeeze it tightly, trying to hold on to every grain out of fear of losing it, you will see the sand slip through your fingers. But if you relax and open your hand with confidence, you will see that much more sand remains there. The same happens with abundance. The fear of scarcity makes you act desperately, trying to grasp everything with a force that, instead of helping you, only makes you lose more. Chosen ones who have not yet understood this remain trapped in cycles of struggle and frustration. God wants you to stop, not to give up, but to learn to trust in the flow He has already prepared for you. Today, your task is not to run faster, worry more, or try to solve everything by yourself. Your mission is to trust, align your energy with God's promise, and allow what is already yours to manifest at the right time. If you feel like you are always exhausted, fighting against the tide, and never seeing results, this is the answer you needed. God has already guaranteed your wealth. Now stop fighting against what has already been decreed and start allowing abundance to flow to you. When you understand this, everything changes. The right opportunities appear, the right doors open, and what once seemed impossible happens without you having to exhaust yourself. This is the true power of spiritual trust. The difference between acting with faith and acting with desperation is subtle, but decisive. When you act with faith, there is peace in your heart, even in the face of challenges. You move forward knowing that every step has already been planned by God, that He is guiding your path, and that nothing can prevent what is already destined for you. But when you act out of desperation, there is anguish, fear, and anxiety. You feel like you have to race against time, that you have to control everything, that if you don't do your absolute best, things won't happen. And it is precisely this state of desperation that blocks the blessing, because those who trust in God do not need to live in the anguish of uncertainty, but in the security that everything will manifest at the right time. Chosen ones who have not yet learned this lesson end up engaging in unnecessary battles, wasting energy trying to force what God has already said will happen. But look around. The tree does not push its fruits to ripen faster, the river does not fight against its own course, and the night does not try to prevent the day from arriving. Everything in the universe follows a natural flow, and when you trust, you enter that flow. But when you try to make things happen by your own strength and in your own time, you create resistance. You block manifestation because you have not yet learned to fully trust in God's plans. Many times, the greatest test of faith a chosen one can give is simply to wait. Not waiting idly, without action, but knowing that each step taken is aligned with a greater purpose. When you learn to stop fighting against divine timing, you realize that the right doors open effortlessly. Abundance comes not because you exhausted yourself to the extreme, but because you learned to trust in God's movement. The problem is that many people despair when they don't see immediate results and end up making impulsive decisions, stepping onto paths that were never part of God's plan. And here is a secret that few understand. Your blessing cannot be accelerated by your anxiety, but it can be delayed by your lack of trust. How many times have you seen people trying to force something, only to end up frustrated? Trying to rush a harvest that wasn't ready, only to reap bitter fruit? God has already prepared everything for you, but He knows the exact moment to release each thing. If He hasn't delivered something yet, there is a reason. It may be that you need to mature, learn something important, or simply wait for the perfect moment so that the blessing is lasting and not fleeting. So chosen one, stop now. Not because you should give up, but because you need to change the way you act. God has already guaranteed your wealth. Your purpose is already written, and everything that is yours is coming your way. But to receive it, you must stop fighting against divine timing. You need to align your energy with the certainty of the promise and act with faith, not desperation. Calm your heart, trust, and watch as at the right moment, everything will start to fall into place. God is never late, He never fails. Your only mission now is to be ready to receive. Many choose to believe that spirituality and wealth are opposing forces, as if walking with God requires a vow of scarcity and suffering. This belief has been implanted over the centuries to keep people trapped in a cycle of limitation when, in reality, the true divine message has always been about prosperity. God never intended for His chosen ones to live in lack, without resources, or struggling to survive. On the contrary, He has always prepared a path of abundance for those who follow His voice and trust in His purpose. The mistake is thinking that wealth only means accumulating money. It's not about that. True wealth, from a divine perspective, is much broader, deeper, and more powerful than any material figure. When you believe that wealth and spirituality cannot coexist, you close yourself off from the blessings that God wants to pour into your life. Many times, this limiting belief was taught by those who did not understand the greatness of God's plan. Look at the Bible. The great servants of God, such as Abraham, Solomon, and Job, were not only spiritually strong but also materially prosperous. They received riches not because they pursued money above all else, but because they were aligned with their mission and allowed God to guide them. Money is just a tool, a means to fulfill the work, help others, and expand the kingdom. The problem was never money itself, but how it is used. When placed in service of a greater purpose, it becomes a divine blessing, not a burden. The true meaning of abundance goes far beyond a bank account. Abundance is living without fear of lack. It is knowing that you will always have enough to fulfill your mission and help those around you. It is having peace, health, good relationships, and a heart full of purpose. God doesn't just want to give you money. He wants to give you wholeness in all areas of life: emotional, spiritual, physical, and yes, financial. Because when you are complete, you become a source of blessings for others. Chosen one, understand this. You were not born to struggle for survival, but to manifest divine glory through prosperity and abundance. The scarcity mindset is one of the greatest prisons that exist, and many still live in it without realizing it. The enemy wants you to believe that you don't deserve to be prosperous, that you must settle for less, that humility means poverty. But that is a lie. True humility is not living in misery, but recognizing that your prosperity comes from God and using it to fulfill His purpose. The closer you get to Him, the more your mindset transforms, and you begin to see abundance as a reflection of His love. When you accept this truth and start acting as someone who has already received the promise, everything around you begins to change. So chosen one, understand. Stop limiting yourself. Stop thinking that prosperity is not for you. God has already released your wealth, and it is not just about money. You are called to live in wholeness, to have more than enough, to overflow and share. Your wealth is already guaranteed, but you need to believe, accept, and act. Open your mind and your heart to this truth. Prosperity is your divine inheritance, and the time has come to live in it. From an early age, many were taught to see scarcity as something noble, as if suffering and hardship were signs of elevated spirituality. This mindset has been reinforced throughout history to limit the power of the chosen ones and prevent them from living the fullness of God's purpose. But this is not God's truth. Scarcity was never a test of faith, and limitation was never a sign of holiness. The Creator Himself made the universe abundant, filled with resources, beauty, and infinite possibilities. If God owns everything, why would He want His children to live in misery? The enemy planted this idea to keep you away from what is rightfully yours. But today, that lie must be broken. When you understand that God is an infinite source of prosperity, you begin to change your perception of wealth. He not only wants to bless you, but He has already made everything you need available. The problem was never a lack of resources, but the scarcity mindset that makes people believe they must fight for scraps. The truth is that the universe operates under abundance, and those who understand this begin to see opportunities where they once saw barriers. Have you noticed how those with a prosperous mindset always find a way, while those trapped in a scarcity mindset always see obstacles? The difference is in perception. Abundance already exists, but you must be open to receiving it. Being aligned with the flow of creation means understanding that you are a co-creator of your reality. God has given you the ability to manifest prosperity through faith, actions, and your spiritual connection. This means stopping the resistance to blessings, letting go of limiting beliefs, and accepting that you were made to live in abundance. When you align yourself with this flow, doors begin to open, opportunities arise, and resources come to you in unexpected ways. Doubt and fear block this flow, but faith and the certainty that God has already prepared the way allow prosperity to manifest naturally. Wealth does not come only from hard work, but from the right mindset. There are people who work all day, struggle, and give their best effort, yet they remain trapped in scarcity. Why? Because deep down they believe they are not worthy, that money is hard to come by, or that abundance is not meant for them. But those who understand that God is the infinite source do not need to chase money. They attract prosperity into their lives. This doesn't mean you shouldn't take action, but rather that your actions should be aligned with the certainty that you are already prosperous. When you act with faith, opportunities come to you, the right people appear, and blessings flow naturally. Chosen one, here is the truth. You no longer need to live under a scarcity mindset. God has already placed you in the flow of abundance, but it is up to you to accept this and allow prosperity to manifest. What you believe becomes your reality. If you continue to believe that it is difficult, then it will be. But if you accept that God has already prepared everything for you, you will witness miracles happening in your life. Chosen one, everything you speak and think generates a vibration that shapes your reality. If you repeat phrases like money is hard to earn, I never have enough, I can't afford this, you are sealing this reality in the spiritual world. Your words are decrees, and the universe responds exactly to what you emit. The Bible teaches us that life and death are in the power of the tongue. Proverbs 18 verse 21, which means that everything you declare with conviction materializes in your life. If you keep declaring scarcity, scarcity will remain. If you keep saying that prosperity is difficult, that will be your truth. But if you change your language and start declaring abundance, doors that were once closed will begin to open. Beyond words, your thoughts have a direct impact on your financial reality. Have you ever noticed how some people always seem to get what they want, while others struggle without seeing results? This happens because those with a wealth mindset attract wealth, while those with a scarcity mindset attract more scarcity. If deep down, you believe that money only comes through extreme effort and suffering, your experience will always reflect that. But if you believe that God created you to live in abundance, and that the right opportunities will come with ease, then that will be your reality. The secret lies in what you nurture within yourself. How many times have you heard phrases like money doesn't bring happiness, or the rich are greedy? These beliefs were placed in your mind to keep you away from prosperity. The truth is that money does not change people. It only amplifies what already exists inside them. If you are a generous person, having more money will allow you to help even more. If you have a good heart, your wealth will only enable you to reach and bless more lives. But if you fear that prosperity will corrupt you, it's because, on some level, you believe that you are not capable of being both prosperous and righteous at the same time. That is a blockage that must be broken. Many people live in a cycle of self-sabotage without even realizing it. Have you ever felt that whenever you are close to receiving a great blessing, something happens to stop it? As if there were an invisible barrier preventing your victory? This happens because, at some level, your mind has not yet accepted prosperity. The subconscious is powerful and operates based on the programming it has received throughout life. If you were taught to believe that being rich is bad or that money brings problems, then without realizing it, you will create obstacles to avoid that reality. This needs to be reprogrammed. The first thing you need to do to eliminate these blockages is to change your language and your thoughts. Stop speaking words of scarcity and start declaring abundance every day. Instead of saying, "I can't afford this," say, "How can I afford this?" Instead of affirming, "Money is difficult to earn," say, "Money comes to me with ease and joy." This change may seem small, but in the spiritual world, it has a massive impact. Remember, everything begins with the spoken word. What you speak, you create. The second step is to be vigilant about your thoughts. Whenever you catch yourself thinking negatively about money, stop and correct it immediately. If the thought, "I will never have enough," comes to your mind, replace it with, "God has already guaranteed my abundance." If the fear of losing money arises, reaffirm, "The more I give, the more I receive." The enemy wants you to live in fear and doubt because that keeps you away from your divine inheritance. But when you become aware of your thoughts and decide to transform them, your reality begins to change. Another essential point is to distance yourself from people and environments that reinforce a scarcity mindset. Have you ever noticed that certain people only talk about problems, debts, and struggles? If you constantly surround yourself with this type of energy, you will end up absorbing this mindset without even realizing it. Choose to be around people who talk about growth, opportunities, and prosperity. The energy of abundance is contagious, and the more you immerse yourself in it, the easier it will be to transform your own reality. Furthermore, learn to feel comfortable with the idea of being prosperous. Many people say they want wealth, but deep down, they feel uncomfortable with the idea. If you feel guilty when thinking about having money, if you fear being judged or losing friends because of your prosperity, then there is a blockage that needs to be removed. Prosperity is not a privilege for a select few. It is your right. God has already declared that you are worthy, and those who do not accept this are not aligned with divine truth. The most powerful tool for reprogramming yourself for abundance is gratitude in advance. Thank God now for the wealth that has not yet manifested, as if it were already a reality. Faith is what moves mountains, and when you act as if you have already received the blessing, you accelerate its manifestation. So say out loud, "Thank you, God, for my prosperity. I am already rich. I already live in abundance. I receive everything that has been prepared for me." Make this a daily habit and watch how your life begins to transform. Now choose your new reality. God has already guaranteed your wealth, but it is up to you to accept it. But here is something that few people know, and that can change everything for you. God has already spoken about your wealth, and what He has said may surprise you. Most people spend their entire lives struggling to obtain what has already been guaranteed in the spiritual world. The problem is not the lack of blessing, but the lack of understanding of how to access it. There is a key that unlocks this promise, and once you understand this truth, the doors of abundance will open in ways you never imagined. Before revealing this key, we need to talk about a fundamental principle that is often ignored, but has the power to accelerate your manifestation. the power of resting and trusting in God. This may be the missing detail that will finally allow you to experience everything that has already been prepared for your life. Pay close attention. Chosen one, your wealth has already been decreed by God, but there is something invisible preventing you from experiencing it now. Have you ever wondered why so many people struggle, do everything they can to prosper, yet remain trapped in a cycle of scarcity? The problem is not the work, nor the talent, nor the opportunity. The problem is in the mind. From an early age, the world teaches us that money is hard to earn, that it is reserved for a select few, that a rich man cannot enter the kingdom of heaven, and that seeking prosperity is a sign of greed. But what no one tells you is that these beliefs were implanted precisely to keep you under control, to keep you away from the power that God has already given you. You need to break these spiritual chains and rewrite your destiny because God has already declared, your wealth is guaranteed. Now think about what you truly believe about money. Do you feel like you have to work to the extreme to deserve it? Do you feel uncomfortable thinking about having a lot of it? Or do you even fear that wealth will distance you from God? If any of these doubts have ever crossed your mind, know that they did not come from God. The Creator never intended for His chosen ones to live in lack. Quite the opposite. The Bible is filled with promises of abundance for those who walk in divine purpose. But if there is a voice inside you saying that you don't deserve it, that being prosperous is wrong, that poverty is a form of holiness, then that is the invisible blockage that is preventing your blessing. It is not the world stopping you, nor is it God testing your faith. These are the barriers that have been planted in your mind since childhood. And what about the weight of guilt? Have you noticed how it becomes a burden that prevents you from receiving what is rightfully yours? Many people live blaming themselves for things that aren't even their responsibility, carrying burdens that God has already forgiven, but that they insist on remembering. If you feel guilty for wanting a better life, if you feel like you need to suffer to be worthy of a blessing, then something is wrong. That mindset does not come from God. The Creator does not want you to live begging for scraps when He has already prepared a feast for you. Guilt attracts scarcity because it vibrates at the frequency of fear, and where there is fear, there is no faith. And without faith, you disconnect from the abundance that God has already placed in your path. Chosen one, understand this once and for all. You do not need to pay a price to be prosperous because the price was already paid by Jesus on the cross. What you need is to align your mind, your heart, and your actions with divine truth. Scarcity only exists where there is resistance to receiving. God wants to give, but are you ready to accept? Are you ready to abandon the mindset of servitude and embrace your identity as an heir of the kingdom? The enemy wants you to keep believing that you are not worthy, that wealth is not for you, that you must keep sacrificing to be accepted. But God has already said, stop now. Your wealth is already guaranteed. From today, say this prayer. Lord, I break every limiting belief that keeps me from prosperity. I free myself from guilt, fear, and the illusion of scarcity. I receive the abundance that you have already prepared for me. I am worthy. I am prosperous. I am chosen. Amen. Chosen one, everything you speak and think generates a vibration that shapes your reality. If you repeat phrases like money is hard to earn, I never have enough, I can't afford this, you are sealing this reality in the spiritual world. Your words are decrees, and the universe responds exactly to what you emit. The Bible teaches us that life and death are in the power of the tongue. Proverbs 18 verse 21, which means that everything you declare with conviction materializes in your life. If you keep declaring scarcity, scarcity will remain. If you keep saying that prosperity is difficult, that will be your truth. But if you change your language and start declaring abundance, doors that were once closed will begin to open. Beyond words, your thoughts have a direct impact on your financial reality. Have you ever noticed how some people always seem to get what they want, while others struggle without seeing results? This happens because those with a wealth mindset attract wealth, while those with a scarcity mindset attract more scarcity. If deep down, you believe that money only comes through extreme effort and suffering, your experience will always reflect that. But if you believe that God created you to live in abundance and that the right opportunities will come with ease, then that will be your reality. The secret lies in what you nurture within yourself. How many times have you heard phrases like money doesn't bring happiness or the rich are greedy? These beliefs were placed in your mind to keep you away from prosperity. The truth is that money does not change people. It only amplifies what already exists inside them. If you are a generous person, having more money will allow you to help even more. If you have a good heart, your wealth will only enable you to reach and bless more lives. But if you fear that prosperity will corrupt you, it's because, on some level, you believe that you are not capable of being both prosperous and righteous at the same time. That is a blockage that must be broken. Many people live in a cycle of self-sabotage without even realizing it. Have you ever felt that whenever you are close to receiving a great blessing, something happens to stop it? As if there were an invisible barrier preventing your victory? This happens because, at some level, your mind has not yet accepted prosperity. The subconscious is powerful and operates based on the programming it has received throughout life. If you were taught to believe that being rich is bad or that money brings problems, then without realizing it, you will create obstacles to avoid that reality. This needs to be reprogrammed. The first thing you need to do to eliminate these blockages is to change your language and your thoughts. Stop speaking words of scarcity and start declaring abundance every day. Instead of saying, "I can't afford this," say, "How can I afford this?" Instead of affirming, "Money is difficult to earn," say, "Money comes to me with ease and joy." This change may seem small, but in the spiritual world, it has a massive impact. Remember, everything begins with the spoken word. What you speak, you create. The second step is to be vigilant about your thoughts. Whenever you catch yourself thinking negatively about money, stop and correct it immediately. If the thought, "I will never have enough," comes to your mind, replace it with, "God has already guaranteed my abundance." If the fear of losing money arises, reaffirm, "The more I give, the more I receive." The enemy wants you to live in fear and doubt because that keeps you away from your divine inheritance. But when you become aware of your thoughts and decide to transform them, your reality begins to change. Another essential point is to distance yourself from people and environments that reinforce a scarcity mindset. Have you ever noticed that certain people only talk about problems, debts, and struggles? If you constantly surround yourself with this type of energy, you will end up absorbing this mindset without even realizing it. Choose to be around people who talk about growth, opportunities, and prosperity. The energy of abundance is contagious, and the more you immerse yourself in it, the easier it will be to transform your own reality. Furthermore, learn to feel comfortable with the idea of being prosperous. Many people say they want wealth, but deep down, they feel uncomfortable with the idea. If you feel guilty when thinking about having money, if you fear being judged or losing friends because of your prosperity, then there is a blockage that needs to be removed. Prosperity is not a privilege for a select few. It is your right. God has already declared that you are worthy, and those who do not accept this are not aligned with divine truth. The most powerful tool for reprogramming yourself for abundance is gratitude in advance. Thank God now for the wealth that has not yet manifested, as if it were already a reality. Faith is what moves mountains, and when you act as if you have already received the blessing, you accelerate its manifestation. So say out loud, "Thank you, God, for my prosperity. I am already rich. I already live in abundance. I receive everything that has been prepared for me." Make this a daily habit and watch how your life begins to transform. Now choose your new reality. God has already guaranteed your wealth, but it is up to you to accept it. But here is something that few people know, and that can change everything for you. God has already spoken about your wealth, and what he has said may surprise you. Most people spend their entire lives struggling to obtain what has already been guaranteed in the spiritual world. The problem is not the lack of blessing, but the lack of understanding of how to access it. There is a key that unlocks this promise, and once you understand this truth, the doors of abundance will open in ways you never imagined. Before revealing this key, we need to talk about a fundamental principle that is often ignored, but has the power to accelerate your manifestation. The power of resting and trusting in God. This may be the missing detail that will finally allow you to experience everything that has already been prepared for your life. Pay close attention. Chosen one, understand this. There are moments when fighting is necessary, but there are also moments when resting is the greatest demonstration of faith. God has already decreed your victory, but if you keep insisting on carrying burdens that are not yours, trying to control every detail, you are only exhausting yourself and blocking the divine flow. When you struggle, when you resist what has already been established in the heavens, you create an energetic barrier that prevents prosperity from manifesting. Rest is not synonymous with inactivity. It is an act of surrender. It means truly trusting, believing that God is in control, and that everything that needs to be done will be done at the right time. Most people associate success and prosperity with relentless struggle, as if the only way to receive God's blessings is through extreme exhaustion and unlimited effort. But God does not work that way. If He has already determined that your wealth is guaranteed, why do you keep wearing yourself out in unnecessary battles? Many times, it is in silence and surrender that doors begin to open. When you let go of the need for absolute control and allow God to work, opportunities arise in unexpected ways. The universe responds to your energy, and if your vibration is aligned with trust and serenity, you become a magnet for the riches that have already been prepared for you. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to attract everything effortlessly? It looks like money flows to them, opportunities arise naturally, and they do not live a life of exhaustion and suffering. This happens because they have understood a powerful spiritual principle, the balance between acting and allowing. There is a time for movement and a time for rest. There is a time for sowing and a time for harvesting. When you learn to listen to this divine dynamic, your life enters into harmony, and blessings flow more naturally. Excessive resistance creates blockages. When you cling to fear, anxiety, and the need to prove something to yourself or others, you build walls that prevent prosperity from flowing freely. It is like a dammed river. The water tries to pass, but it encounters obstacles that prevent it from following its natural course. The same happens with God's blessings. When you hold onto a mindset of scarcity and relentless struggle, you act as if abundance is something distant, something that must be earned through suffering. But the truth is, God has already decreed your victory. To understand this principle, observe nature. A tree does not need to strive to grow. It simply takes root and allows the sun, the rain, and time to fulfill their roles. Similarly, birds do not stockpile food for months or years because they know that each day will bring its provision. This is the essence of true trust. You were not created to live in fear and exhaustion. You were created to prosper, and that prosperity manifests when you stop resisting and learn to flow with God's will. There is a powerful concept that few understand: intelligent spiritual work. It consists of knowing when to act and when to allow. There are times when God will give you strategies, inspiration, and direction to move forward. You must act in those moments. But there are also times when God wants you to simply trust, for He is already moving the pieces in the spiritual realm. The key is to discern these moments and not act out of desperation, but rather out of divine guidance. Working intelligently in the spiritual sense means recognizing that success does not depend solely on your effort, but on your connection with the source of all prosperity. Chosen one many times, you are so focused on solving everything on your own that you forget that the blessing is already on its way. You have already planted the right seeds, already demonstrated your faith, and already done your part. Now it is time to align yourself with the divine flow and allow the harvest to come at the time determined by God. It is like a farmer who sows in the field and then does not need to dig up the soil every day to see if the plant is growing. He simply trusts the process. This is how your faith should be. Many people who transition from scarcity to abundance report that everything began when they changed their mindset and strengthened their connection with God. They realized that the first step was not just working harder or desperately seeking external solutions, but spiritually aligning themselves with the truth that prosperity was already destined for them. Take, for example, those who spent years struggling financially without seeing progress, until they decided to fully trust in the divine plan and began to act according to that faith. They started giving thanks even before seeing the manifestation, changed the way they spoke about money, and began recognizing the signs God was sending. When they did this, the opportunities that once seemed distant started appearing in surprising ways. There are testimonies of people who, after long periods of hardship, received job offers they never imagined, saw their investments flourish unexpectedly, or received blessings through other people without even asking. One remarkable case is of a man who spent years in debt, unsuccessfully trying to improve his situation. The moment he decided to surrender his worries to God and trust fully in the process, he started noticing subtle changes. Small amounts of money began to appear in his life in unusual ways. Doors that were once closed began to open, and within a few months, he was able to pay off his debts and start a thriving business. The key to this turnaround? He stopped resisting and began to recognize that God was already guiding his path. Another powerful example is a woman who always believed that wealth was not for her. She grew up hearing that money was hard to earn, that spiritual people should not be concerned with it, and that financial struggles were just part of life. But when she started studying the spiritual principles of prosperity and aligning her mindset with divine promises, her life took a drastic turn. She realized that God does not want anyone to live in misery or lack, but in fullness and abundance. When she changed her way of thinking and opened herself up to new opportunities, her financial reality transformed. Today, she prospers and teaches others to do the same, always emphasizing that it all began the moment she decided to recognize the signs and fully trust in the divine plan. The importance of recognizing these messages and not ignoring them is one of the greatest lessons from these testimonies. God is speaking all the time, but many people do not pay attention. He places people in our paths, sends strong intuitions, shows repetitive signs, and creates situations that seem like challenges but are actually disguised opportunities. How many times have you felt called to do something, but ignored it out of fear or insecurity? Many people who now live in prosperity recall that, at some point, they had to take a leap of faith. They recognized the signs and made bold decisions, believing that God had already prepared the way. This alignment between spirituality and action is what sets apart those who receive abundance from those who remain trapped in limitation. If you feel that God is calling you to change, do not ignore it. If doors are closing, if unexpected opportunities are appearing, if your intuition is guiding you toward new paths, pay attention. Your wealth is already guaranteed, but you must align your mind and spirit to receive it. Stories of financial transformation always begin with someone who decided to listen, trust, and act. And now, it is your turn to take that step. God has already determined your blessing. Now you just need to recognize the signs and allow this abundance to manifest in your life. Now that you understand that your wealth is already guaranteed in the spiritual realm, the crucial moment has arrived. Aligning your mind, spirit, and actions to manifest this abundance in the material world. Many chosen ones spend years waiting for a sign, a miracle, or an external change that will bring prosperity, without realizing that the key has always been within them. The great turning point happens when you consciously decide to reprogram your mind and energy to become a magnet for wealth. This means letting go of limiting beliefs, strengthening your connection with God, and acting in alignment with the certainty of abundance. You must change your vibration so that your reality can also change. For wealth is not just a financial state, but a state of mind that attracts everything necessary to fulfill your divine purpose. Prayer is a powerful tool for connecting with God and the spiritual forces that govern abundance. However, many pray with a sense of need and scarcity, asking as if they were unworthy or begging for scraps. The true prayer of abundance is made with absolute faith, with the certainty that you already possess what you desire. When you pray, visualize your prosperous life, feel gratitude as if you are already living that reality, and declare aloud that God has already supplied all your needs. Say, Lord, I thank you because all the abundance of the universe is already available to me. I open my heart and mind to receive all the blessings that belong to me by divine right. Do this daily, without doubt and without fear. This way, you activate the frequency of prosperity around you. Gratitude is one of the most powerful principles of manifestation. When you express gratitude, you place yourself in the frequency of someone who has already received, and the universe responds by bringing even more reasons to be thankful. But here's the secret. You should not only be grateful for what you already have, but also for what has not yet arrived. Give thanks for the money that is not yet in your account, for the success that has not yet materialized, for the opportunity that is on its way. Do this with genuine emotion, feeling as if it is real. When you practice gratitude in this way, you accelerate the materialization of your wealth, because your energy aligns with the abundance that is already prepared for you. Many people block their prosperity because they are trapped by the fear of loss and the anxiety of control. God has already guaranteed your wealth, but if you cling too tightly to the small blessings you have received, there will be no room for the new. Letting go does not mean negligence or carelessness, but rather having absolute trust that what is yours will come at the right time. Practice releasing what no longer serves you, whether it's a limited mindset, a job that does not value you, or even objects that carry an energy of scarcity. When you let go of the old, you create space for God to bring in the new. Everything in the universe is energy, including money, opportunities, and success. If your vibration is low, filled with worries, doubts, and insecurities, you will be repelling the blessings that God has prepared for you. Change begins within. Observe your thoughts, your words, and your emotions. Speak about wealth with conviction. Act like someone who already has what they desire, and eliminate negativity from your environment. Practice powerful affirmations such as, I am chosen, and prosperity flows to me easily, or money comes to me from expected and unexpected sources. By maintaining a high vibration, you become a magnet for abundance. Many people pray for prosperity, but continue living as if they do not believe it is possible. Faith without action is merely a wish. If God has already guaranteed your wealth, then you need to act like someone who knows this. This means seeking opportunities, investing in knowledge, improving your skills, and making decisions that align with a prosperous mindset. Do not wait for the perfect situation to start. Act now, even with the resources you currently have. Inspired action comes from your intuition. When you feel called to do something, follow that impulse without fear. The path will unfold as you move forward. One of the most powerful techniques for attracting wealth is visualization. Every day, take a few minutes to close your eyes and imagine your prosperous life in detail. See yourself living in your dream home, experiencing financial freedom, helping others, and enjoying all the blessings that God has prepared for you. Feel the emotions of this reality as if it is already happening. The mind does not distinguish between the real and the imagined, so by visualizing your wealth with clarity, you send a powerful signal to the universe and your own consciousness that this is your new reality. Many chosen ones carry an invisible burden, a scarcity mindset inherited from society, family, or past hardships. This mindset manifests in phrases like "money is hard to earn," "wealth is not for me," or "I always struggle to survive." If you still have these beliefs, your vibration is misaligned with abundance. Replace these thoughts with positive affirmations and choose to believe that God has already provided for all your needs. When you truly internalize this truth, your reality begins to change. What separates those who manifest their wealth from those who remain stuck in limitation is not luck, but the decision to act with faith. God has already declared that your prosperity is guaranteed, but He expects you to take ownership of this promise. Stop doubting, stop waiting for permission from others, and stop living below your potential. The turning point is now. Start applying these strategies today. Align your mind and energy with abundance, and prepare to witness financial miracles happening in your life. You were chosen to shine, and your wealth is already on its way. The moment has arrived. Everything that has been set up until now has prepared you for this powerful truth. Deep in your soul, you felt that something great was about to be revealed, and now, finally, the answer your soul has been longing for is right before you. God has already decreed your wealth, and it is not just a whim or an earthly desire. It is part of your greater purpose. What you have been seeking has already been placed on your path, but to receive it, you must understand one essential thing. Your prosperity is not just about you, but about the impact your light will have on the world. It is time to see beyond limitations, beyond doubts, and beyond fear. The revelation that changes everything is about to be spoken. And after this, you will never see your life the same way again. The final revelation, what God said about your wealth. You have waited for this moment. You have searched for signs, answers, confirmations. Now finally, the revelation is before you. God has said that your wealth is already guaranteed because your mission is connected to it. It is not just a desire of your heart. It is not an illusion of your mind. It is a spiritual decree, an unbreakable promise that has already been sealed in the divine plans. The prosperity you have been waiting for is not a coincidence, nor just any reward. It is part of the path you must walk. God has already determined that your resources will be released because they are essential for the fulfillment of your purpose. All you need to do is stop resisting, stop doubting, stop acting out of fear. Many of the chosen ones spend their lives fighting against scarcity, believing that wealth and spirituality are opposites, as if one prevents the other. But this is one of the greatest illusions ever planted in the hearts of God's children. The truth is that prosperity is part of your purpose. You are not called to live limited, to merely survive, to settle for crumbs. The Creator did not place a grand calling on your life for you to remain trapped in financial struggles. On the contrary, your wealth is guaranteed because it is a tool to manifest the glory of God in this world. The mistake many make is believing that wealth is just a human desire, something trivial or superficial. No, the abundance coming your way has a far greater purpose. God did not choose you just to receive blessings, but to be a channel of blessings. Money in the hands of the chosen is not just for personal comfort, but to spread light, transform lives, and help those in need. While many accumulate riches out of greed, you are receiving this promise to fulfill a divine mission. Your wealth is not just about you. It is about the impact you will have on the world. So, stop thinking that you are not worthy. God does not make mistakes when He chooses His own. The fear and doubt that make you hesitate are obstacles that must be broken today. While you question, abundance is already being prepared. The universe is moving everything to deliver what is yours, but you must be ready to receive it. It is not about asking more, fighting more, or sacrificing more. It is about accepting what has already been decreed for you. The final secret is right before you. Stop doubting now. Every time you resist, question whether you truly deserve it, or act out of fear, you delay the flow of your own blessing. Your wealth has already been released. Your role is not to fight against it, but to align yourself with this truth. God has already said, "You are ready, and what is yours is already coming to you." There is no more space for insecurity, for guilt, for scarcity thinking. The prosperity of the chosen does not come by chance, nor by personal effort alone. It comes from alignment with purpose. The one who is aligned with their mission will always be sustained by heaven. When you embrace your calling with courage, without hesitation, God provides the resources for you to fulfill your journey. That is why your wealth is guaranteed. It is part of the plan. If God gave you a mission, He has also already prepared everything you need to accomplish it. Maybe you have faced difficulties for a long time, but that phase is ending. The period of trials was not a punishment, but a preparation. You needed to learn, to mature, to strengthen your faith. But now the time has come to receive what has already been determined. Wealth is not a prize, it is a means. God never wanted you to live in limitation, because He knows that your hands need to be full, so that you can accomplish what He has entrusted to you. The last piece of this mystery has always been before you: absolute trust. Those who truly trust do not fear, do not hesitate, do not sabotage themselves. You no longer need to chase after it, because you are already in the right frequency to attract what is yours. God said, "Stop fighting against your own blessing." Your part is to accept, believe, and act with the certainty that everything is already in motion to materialize in your life. Chosen one, be strong and stand firm. Do not fear the next steps. If God is confirming that your wealth is guaranteed, then nothing will be able to stop the fulfillment of this word. Not fear, not doubts, not the attacks that come against you. Just remain in faith, in action, and in certainty. Everything is already coming to you. The time of manifestation has arrived. Now, I want to hear from you, chosen one. Do you feel in your heart that this message was meant for you? That God has already prepared your prosperity, and that everything you have been through was part of a path to strengthen you? Share your experience in the comments. How have you recognized God's signs in your journey? Your testimony can inspire and strengthen other chosen ones who are walking the same path. And as an act of faith, write in the comments, "My wealth is already guaranteed. I trust in the divine plan." Declare this truth and watch how the universe begins to respond to your calling. Thank you for being here. If this message resonated in your heart, subscribe to the channel, like, and share this video with someone who might also connect with it. Chosen one, this is just the beginning. There is an even deeper revelation waiting for you. If you stop here, you might miss the key piece that will transform your life. Click now on the next video and discover what God has in store for you. Do not ignore this calling.